And it looks like we're live and ready to go. All right, what's going on, everyone? And how the heck are you all doing tonight? Welcome to the best damn Xbox podcast on Sunday nights, the Xbox Roundtable. This is episode number 171. Grab a cold one and find a comfy seat because we've got a lot of Xbox news to cover tonight. This past week, Xbox announced a brand new headset. As well, Xbox showing off the brand new frame rate boost coming to backwards compatible titles, along with a few other things making the rounds the past week. However, first, let me introduce everyone on the panel tonight, starting with our featured guest for the evening, a well-known content creator and personal friend, host of the next podcast. Please welcome Xbot448. How are you doing, man?
What's going on, people? Guys, it has been such a long time since I've been able to hang out with you guys in TXR. You West Coast brethren, except for my brother Tim, but you West Coast guys, you're always lagging behind in terms of time and stuff like that. But I am really, really excited. It's been a long time coming, and I can't wait to get into this, man.
Nice.
Yeah, Xbot, totally. And don't worry, you're not alone. I'm a fellow East Coaster. Well, not exactly on the East Coast, but East Side anyways of the continent, so you're in good company. All right, on to the TXR main crew, and we got Tim Dog. Hey, how you doing, you crazy fella?
Good. Happy to be here. Happy that Xbot's here. I've done a ton of podcasts with the guy. He's awesome, and going to be a fun show. Like old times, we even pre-show was fun. Just shooting the crap.
Oh yeah.
Totally, guys. Moving on here, Shockley, buddy. What you been up to?
Not much. Just been playing my OG Xbox, I've been working on my 360 and my OG Xbox, getting those fully modded out. But it's been interesting week. Oh yeah, they did announce that new Supergirl casting. That was funny. Watching a lot of people cry about at least the character. DC's always been second rate to me anyway. So I only care about Batman. He's my favorite, even over any Marvel character. But that's about it. That's just like people are really just losing their mind over that. I'm like, you already have the Supergirl show. It's like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be. It's the same thing with the Fantastic when they had Sue Storm as Jessica Alba, and people got upset about it. It's like, are you losing sleep over Sue Storm, really? It's like okay.
Well, but I wonder if the Jennifer.
Who would
Lawrence...
complain about Jessica Alba though?
And Dean Cain was part Japanese, and no one said anything about that. So I mean.
Yeah.
I always knew there was something about... No, I'm just playing, yeah.
All right, good stuff, Shockley. Moving on. Centurion, hey, what's new, birthday boy?
Oh, not much, man. Just trying to cook up a deal with Fiberware on how to get out a line of cookware for some of these consoles because I hear they get real hot. In the middle of the game chat, I was laughing when Xbot was talking about how hot the console was venting, and I just thought it'd be funny to actually create a GIF like that. But that was an ADD
it would
thought.
be perfect on the Series S because that dark circle right there, it just screams, "Hey, put a pan right here and cook a couple eggs while you're gaming, no problem."
I always thought it would be fun to have like the little popcorn dome on top of it.
Oh wow!
You should put a little comic bubble next to it, like it's a speaker.
Oh God. Oh man, but no, I've actually been able to get some gaming in between working way too much. But I was able to finally start really grinding out Werewolf the Apocalypse. Good game. I definitely wouldn't say that it's trashed. I've heard a lot of people say it lacked in the graphics department, definitely, but it's definitely a good enough game to keep going. And also, it's nice to actually see yet another game that's hitting 60 FPS, which seems to be a big thing right now.
Which one was that?
Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it basically is just pretty much, I don't want hack and slash totally as Werewolf, and Yeah, it's 60 frames a second from what I could see. I went and checked everything on my computer, and I've been having fun playing it. I don't got no complaints. Definitely wouldn't say it's the greatest thing graphically, but it's a decent enough game to pick it up. But I would have to agree with popular opinion that this game probably will appear in Game Pass.
Yeah, it does seem like that kind of a title. Interesting, but yeah, I've heard that there's kind of a few downsides to it because it was one of those titles I was keeping an eye on, but I don't know. I didn't pull the trigger on it because for certain reasons, and well, let's see what happens when it's on sale. And of course, guys, this is Invader. And I've been playing a lot of Spyro Reignited Trilogy lately the past month, and I gotta admit, never played Spyro before, and I am loving every minute of it. They, Toys for Bob did a really good job on the remakes. Dang, I'm kind of hooked. I miss my platforming games. Moving along here, guys, and just a reminder to all of our friends listening in that you can find this show on a wide variety of audio platforms from Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and many more. Just search for the TXR Podcast, and you should see us all pop up. Okay, guys, let's move straight forward into all the big news. And earlier this week...
Big news.
Lots of big news, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Xbox announced their brand new wireless headset, and it's set to come out March 16th, and it costs $99 US, and is said to deliver, and I quote, the best-in-class audio and chat performance, amongst other things. And it seems to be pretty popular considering pre-orders are selling out already for this new piece of hardware. In fact, I'm one of those pre-orders. But enough about me. Let's hear about what the panel thinks about it, this announcement. Xbot, buddy, you know what? I will get your opinion on this. What do you think about these new wireless headphones at first at first glance?
Well, I saw that like Twitter was kind of going crazy with like a headset thing going on. I was at work, I have a tendency to try to stay off my phone, but my phone was just like vibrating in my pocket. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? So as soon as I got home, I realized that, Xbox came out with a headset, and I was like, well, what is the big deal? And then I watched Brad Sam's video on it, which, showed kind of like the unveiling of it, and hearing what he said, how it kind of like, it supports, all the different kind of like ranges of audio, how it natively connects to the Xbox, and how, of course, you can use it with all other devices. And then you look at the price point, it's like $99.99. Now, they're saying the best, audio performance and stuff like that, but nobody is going to come out with a new product and say, well, this is, it's okay. This is mid-range performance. Like, so I still want to see exactly, kind of like what it's like when it does come out, it gets in people's hands and stuff. But there were certain aspects, lifting up the mic and that automatically mutes you. I know that would be good for me when playing multiplayer. I believe, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you have volume controls on like one on each ear, and one will control the game volume, and the other one will control the party volume. Dude, that is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know how many times, like one of the things I would hate is trying to go in and adjust between like the game volume and then the party chat, and trying to get that perfect. But now all you have to do is just, kind of like, turn these dials and adjust them, each separately, and get it to the, exactly what you want to hear. I think that is awesome. USB-C charging as well. I mean, we gotta mention that, USB-C,
right.
that is a quick charging feature. I believe on a full charge, you get like 15 hours, 15 hours on a headset. That is ridiculous. And again, all for $99. I think it really encompasses Xbox's idea of kind of like everybody included. it really shows kind of like where they're going for the future of peripherals. They're going to have all the bells and whistles, but you're not going to spend an arm and a leg for it, because if you look around, I mean, Steel Series, it's like $50 more, and I don't think it has all the features that these have. But then you go into the higher like Astros, and you're looking at like $250. But this one, $99. You can use it on your Xbox, plus you can also use it on other devices, your phone, whatever you want to use it with. I think it's a great deal. I think they look cool. I didn't pre-order though. Sorry.
I did. I pre-ordered today.
Oh, you pre-ordered me one, Tim? That's amazing. Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah.
Maybe if I win the lotto.
Yeah. Well,
Or maybe
hold on. Well, actually, no. I would be grateful. I'll be like, Tim, you're gonna win the lotto and then send me $100 headset. But Tim, no, I would appreciate that. I'm rooting for you now, man. Winning numbers.
Yeah.
I'll play 448.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're gonna win. You're gonna win hands down now.
I'll play pick 448. I think 448. You can pick.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, guys, I was in the market for a new wireless headset for the Xbox. I was thinking about picking them up. Well, one up in the next couple of months, and lo and behold, Xbox out of nowhere announces this new headset, and I got to admit, it's a nice price range for me. Again, I live in Canada, so the price is a little bit different. I pay a little more, but otherwise, I mean, for the features that you're getting, it's very competitive at that price point for the features, like noise canceling, the Bluetooth, and I don't know, like it looks decent for what it is. It has a nice slick look to it. And yeah, just the audio features sound very good. So I pre-ordered that. It was sold out for a little bit, but then I was able to pre-order at EB Games. So I was like, right, score.
At first, I will say, I thought the ear cups looked a little bulky, but when they talked about the volume control, I that kind of sealed the deal for me, because I don't know if you guys are like me, but anytime there's a headset, I'm not a big headset guy either. I like blaring my game like across the TV speakers, sound bar, stuff like that. I'm annoying that way, right? But when I do have a headset on, going for the volume, and it's usually some little piece over here and over there, and like, having it just right there and at this, like the size of the cups themselves, and just having it that easy. And I'm using hand motions right now. You guys can't see me, of course, but I'm literally, I look like I'm going crazy right now. But to have the volumes on each side that big, that simple, and again, having the headset realize what is the party and dealing with that volume, and then what is the game and dealing with that volume with two separate kind of like volume knobs. That's incredible to me.
Yeah, well, one of the things that is really big is the Dolby Atmos, and the I think the support for Dolby. It also supports Sonic. And PlayStation, they're not adapting any of the Atmos. They're just going singular with their Tempest engine solution. But if I were them, I would just
3D audio.
Yeah, I would just use Atmos as well, because Atmos really is something people are beginning to recognize, and the fact that it's registered or it's blocked out that for that, which is basically done at the Xbox level, but yeah, I mean, from what I heard, I know people who have it. They say for $100, you're gonna feel like it's a lot of quality.
Is that just their version? What Sony has on their side, or is there something?
Yeah,
different?
they have
Atmos?
a version. Theirs is like 12 hours. Like,
well, I mean, like their 3D audio. Like, is there something?
Yeah.
Don't you
it's
remember
the same
Cerny
thing.
asked for a picture of your ear, guys? Come on, man.
Yeah, and then he said something erroneous about Dolby Digital about something, and then Dolby Digital came back and they corrected him. But basically, they're all the same. They're all the same thing. A little different here or there, but I think it's easy to say that Atmos is definitely the most recognizable because, you're seeing it in Netflix and you're seeing it all over the place with sound bars. And people just, I mean, I like Atmos to Sonic. I haven't tried the Tempest engine one, but yeah, but like I said, so that's a big quality, as well as USB-C, like you said, the toggles that, that was something that they were going to originally do with the Surface headphones, and they were supposed to be like 300, but they were definitely a lot more probably quality, but but they had that twist to the dial. I think that's going to be huge. And one thing about the 360, that generation, I always remember that you remember they had that little ear thing and people loved it. The Bluetooth,
Bluetooth connected earpiece. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They seem to they've always had that. And then for whatever reason, Xbox really had a crappy, that headset, the one that came was really cheap.
It was cheap, but it was a step up above the one that came with the 360.
Yeah, you're right. But this one now, and it's sold separately, and I rather that way. Look, the Elite is 150, and the quality that you're getting with that. 178 with the Elite 2. So you could use, they like to give you a little extra quality. So I think anybody for $100, this is absolute steal. I just think that this is going to be a generation where a lot of people buy this. It's going to be something like when, if you don't have it now, you're going to get it at Christmas. I think that a lot of people are going to enjoy it. And like you guys were mentioning too, the Bluetooth is huge too. I heard that you can take phone calls and play the game at the same time, or you could stop it, or somehow I guess it knows when the phone call comes in. Like I don't know if it prioritizes it or pauses the game. Whatever the case is, they said something. I want to see. This is when it's in the wild. We'll see all these questions answered. But yeah, from what I'm hearing from people that have it, this is another thing good for Xbox. They just seem to be doing the right thing these days, and it's going to be well.
And Tim, like when you're talking about the price point, again, I pulled out a couple because people talk about the Steel Series, and of course people talk about Astros. Yeah. This is coming in price wise below both of those. So it's doable for a lot of different kind of like gaming demographics, in terms of their wallet size or whatnot. Like, people that are on the kind of like lower end really don't have a lot of money to spend or anything like that. They can look at this, and this is like a reachable goal if they want a new headset. It's a reachable goal. Like say, put, a little bit of money away here, a little bit of money away there. And as you go up that ladder, it still has all the features that you would want in a headset. It's wireless. The charge, the battery life is, I think it's phenomenal. Everything all together, man. It's just, it sounds like it's quality. Now we got to see how it actually performs. You know what I'm saying? Like, once it hits, goes out there in the wild, gamers are using it. What is going to be the feedback? I think it's going to be good, man. Like I don't see them messing around with this. Audio is a big part of gaming, especially people who are headset enthusiasts. They want to hear every little creak, every little crackle, everything that's going on in the game. They want to make sure they hear it and they hear it clearly. So I think they're going to knock it out the park with this too.
100%. I like, I want to hear what Centurion and Shock have to say, but this is looks like a home run. It looks like it's as good as advertised, and I can't wait to get my hands on them. I'll definitely have a review on Twitter up. I'll tweet about it. I'm excited. I like that it's Xbox branded too. Like that. Like I like stuff like that. I always like that. Really looking forward. I just got the confirmation too a little bit while ago that it's going to be shipped to the 16th.
Nice. And guys, just to let you know, all you guys know me. You know what you got into when you invited me on this show. I will talk your ear off, people. So you guys got to jump in and keep your thoughts in here as well. Otherwise, it's an Italian thing. You know what I'm saying?
You're hyped up. It's cool.
Hey man, we love the hype. We love the energy, of course. Everybody knows that it's a party when Xbox joins a group. So hey man, we welcome it. But you're right, Centurion pal. What do you think of these headsets?
Well, I've been quiet because just a few months ago, I bought myself the SteelSeries 7X Xbox edition ones, and I will definitely say I went back and looked at the new headphones from Xbox, and for the money that you're paying, yes, it's a great value, but I'm still happy with my purchase in the 7Xs. I could see the value that at least that they would be preaching over that headset. But that's where that's why I've been silent, because I mean, it's $100 headset. I think it's really cool. I bought another $100 headset that had almost the same features as this one from a different brand, and I was completely unimpressed compared to Xbox is giving you a lot of quality. Yes, definitely this headset is going to knock it out of the park. Like Tim Dog said, maybe if anything was to ever happen with a headset, I would actually think about picking these up as like a backup pair. I don't know. But I'm definitely I'm in the also same ballpark as Xbox, is I'm gonna sit back and see what the reviews say and what the people kind of have to say once it's out in the wild. Purely because as the mention of the last headset from Xbox, that nice plastic one that snapped on you after having it for only a few months, that happened to me. And so that is why forgive me, I was tainted by buying Xbox headsets, which is why I first started with a Turtle Beach headset. But again, they were made of plastic, which is why
Are you talking about the ones that
SteelSeries.
came out like early in the Xbox One generation?
Yes,
I had those too, and yes, the plastic that goes around the top of the head, yeah, that broke
yeah,
down.
and that's where ever since it snapped on me like that. I remember the next headset I got was a HyperCloud X Series that had a steel frame, and I went wireless for the first time with Turtle Beach, and that's when I found out SteelSeries had a steel frame, and I had my Turtle Beaches for a while, so I decided to upgrade to the SteelSeries. And the one thing that interested me was that the headphones had a steel frame. I don't know what the headphones Xbox cooked up are made of yet. Has anybody heard anything on how they're framed?
And see, that's funny. It's funny that you asked that, because I showed my 17-year-old. I showed my son kind of like the trailer for the headset, and he was like, "Yeah, it looks really cool." He's like, "The only thing is, it looks like it's all plastic." And he is a HyperX fan, and I got to say, I really like HyperX as well. But I don't think they've come out with a wireless headset yet. Like, for some rhyme or reason, unless I'm wrong, HyperX, I don't know. They don't believe in wireless or
No.
something like that. So
Now, one thing I could say to play devil's advocate for SteelSeries 2 is because of the dongle. Now, everybody, like, oh my God, when you hear dongle, I actually used the Turtle Beach. Oh my God, I think they're like the 100s. They're not the wire, not. They have two wireless headsets. I didn't get the nice ones with Bluetooth. I didn't need Bluetooth because I have my own headset for Bluetooth on my phone. Anyways, this headset would link to the Xbox using the Xbox, how the controller links to it. Like, this headset would actually turn the Xbox on. It was pretty cool. But when I got the SteelSeries and used the dongle, I actually noticed that the latency between the headset was totally different. Things got to the headset quicker on the SteelSeries, and the headset itself would connect to the Xbox a lot quicker than using the Xbox, whatever they're using for their wireless side of things.
Right. All right. Shockley, buddy, I don't know if you're in the market for a new headset or anything like that. What strikes you about this new Xbox wireless headset?
Yeah, I'll probably give it a month or so just to see kind of what the more in-depth reviews. So I can kind of wait on that. I do have a pair of Astros, so I'm kind of set there. So, but I'm interested in picking these up since with the whole phone call, because a lot of times some of my gaming buddies are more so on PC. And a lot of times they'll use like Discord. So like a lot of times I can use that easily with my phone. If I'm like in the living room, I can still be chatting with them while I'm, playing the Xbox in the opposite room. So, unless there's a Discord app that you can use.
Is
on
this
Xbox,
why I can
don't
never
think so.
find Shockley online whenever I'm like searching for somebody to game with?
Well, I'll be like on the Xbox. I just might be on the Discord. Like,
Well,
through
yeah,
my
it
app,
shows
but
you're
yeah.
on, but it shows you're like doing. It shows that little symbol like you're doing
Oh,
something
okay.
other than game on your Xbox or whatever.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, that could be it. But yeah, that seems like a cool feature that you might not have thought of initially. Like, because I saw people posting about that with their phone. I didn't quite understand what they were saying as far as like, oh, that's a great feature. But then when you start to think about it, like, oh, it just easily connects that way. So that it sounds like a pretty good deal for $100, from what I'm hearing. So I might check that out after I see some reviews. So.
Yo, shout out to Mr. Kima in the chat real quick. Shout out to the chat in general. You guys are absolutely amazing. But Mr. Kima did bring up, because Xbox, they have that peripheral app where you can adjust things. You can adjust your controllers, stuff like that. But this is going to be a part of that as well, like the equalizer, the sound equalizers. If you want to,
Yeah,
that was my squirrel right there, the shiny object in the room. When I saw that equalizer pop, I was like, oh, whoa, now that's cool.
Yeah. And did you see how like you could boost the bass up like 12 points? Like it's interacted with the for the headset. It's interactive. You have the equalizer, and you have it has an app, the headset. And one of the things I saw that I liked was you could like really pump up the bass if you'd like.
See, yo, Tim Dog's a man after my own heart, man. He's got to be. Growing up, he had to have one of those cars with the bass box in the trunk.
It. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I honestly, when I first got my first system, I remember I brought it to a guy, and the guy's like, "How do you listen to that?" He's like, "You can't hear it." I was like, "Because it was all bass." It was like on 10. It was all bass.
You can feel Tim Dog driving up 3 blocks away, no problem. It starts shaking. Everything starts shaking.
I had a box.
Nice.
Now, guys, Xbox were kind of sneaky here because a couple of months ago they had an Xbox Series X trailer or commercial, and lo and behold, they had a guy wearing those headsets and nobody noticed.
Yeah, they're playing that game with us. Now, that's 2 times, if you remember. The other time was freaking Phil had
the interview.
Phil had the 360 and the Xbox Series S in the background in the shelf, and that was, I believe, his plan. I think he talked about it. It was his plan, and it was his plan, and they were freaking out about it. Like they were nervous, like people were like, but that little stuff, like the Easter egg stuff, I find pretty cool though. They got us twice, man. So you better, next thing that they
was
do.
Was it a third time? Wasn't he pointing at the Indiana Jones?
Yeah. What was that? That was the third.
That was with
Todd
Howard.
That?
That was with Todd
when
Howard.
He was pointing down. What was he pointing at?
Oh, Todd Howard had a little thing on his shelf. I think it's like a replica piece from Indiana Jones.
So Phil got us 3 times.
He's pointing at it and like, hey, like here, and then you see Todd Howard's like looking at like laughing.
He looks mad.
He's like, oh, you're pointing at.
Yo, Tim, with you bringing that up, I just want to give a shout out to the community, all the people that stuck with me when I tried to let people know there was a cheaper version, a Series S coming out. Because, Tim, I know you remember, like, out there on social media when we said that, they're going to come out with 2 kind of like new Xboxes and stuff. So many people are like, no, they're not going to do that. Oh, no, they're not going to do that. Oh, why would they bring out that? Well, and it's like, well, price point, you know what I'm saying? Entry level price point. They're going to attract a lot more gamers that wouldn't necessarily adopt on a brand new system if it's $500, but $300, trading in your Xbox One that you have now and stuff like that. But shout out to everybody who stuck by me, because like I stuck to my guns. I knew that sucker was coming out, And for anybody who kind of fell for they'll never do that, I feel bad for you guys, because the proof is actually sitting right in front of me right now. The Series S. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally, guys, totally. Well, either way, I'm looking forward to these headphones. I was in the market for them, and it just, again, it makes a lot of sense that Xbox would upgrade on their accessories front, and I'm looking forward to this. It's kind of a nice treat for me. My birthday's kind of around there, so it's a birthday treat, if you will. And yeah, if you're in the chat, if you guys have already pre-ordered it or plan on taking a look at, let me know in the chat. But you know what, guys, we will move on from the headphones. And you know what? The headphones weren't the only news coming from the Xbox camp this past week. And earlier, Microsoft revealed the brand new frames per second boost technology. It's a system that allows Xbox One games to run at 2 times or more on Xbox Series consoles. They gave us a few examples of these titles getting boosts. There's new Super Lucky's Tale, Watch Dogs 2, Sniper Elite 4, Far Cry 4, and UFC 4, all seeing big improvements across the board. And looking around the panel now, Tim, I know you've been pretty active of this news over social media. What do you think of these boosts coming to these older titles?
Well, listen, we all knew this was in the works. I think that they are stumbling across more than that they thought they were getting in the beginning. I think that they kind of figured something out, and I think Jason Ronald talks about it on Colt Eastwood's interview with him, how they, kind of speed up the clock of the game, the inner clock. Very interesting stuff. Listen, I knew it was coming so it wasn't that huge of a surprise. I was actually teasing it, but what I took from it was obviously, I just think Xbox is now starting to get its due. Usually, like when something like this would come out, you get some like a real weird negativity backlash, or they would say no games, or just like people would just be like kind of trying to attack Microsoft or had snide comments. But with this, I noticed the games aren't that great that they picked. And that was just because they're just picking up other ones. They're going to be adding games every 2 weeks, every Tuesday, I believe. So it's going to be interesting. But the reaction was what I really noticed. I was told that the Xbox people were very happy with the reaction, that they kind of were like, didn't expect it to be so overwhelming. And my take is like, I think just people are just realizing that Xbox not messing around here, man. They have so many options with the backwards compatibility, supporting everything, all the generations, having auto HDR, the Hutchney method where it 4 times the resolution, and now you can have 4 times the frame rate, which was happening in Lucky Tales. That gives you a glimpse of what type of compatibility that they're going to have. Listen, it's like start to give people to do, and I think that Microsoft's there, and that's why I said they have a ton of momentum right now. There's a lot of stuff on the horizon that's they're coming to them on a silver platter. There's a bunch of decisions to be made, but just overall, Microsoft has a huge amount of momentum, and people are really beginning to accept Xbox, and there's no more jokes anymore. VCR, I mean, you look at the last generation, at this time it was a meme. Now people realize they're real deal. And once they start, banging out these games, and, it just becomes even more and more obvious that, they're no one to mess with right now. And, congratulations to the people that actually make this work. The backwards compatibility team in Microsoft is the most lauded because of how amazing they are. Look what they did. If you remember in the Xbox One era, there was a time where they said backwards compatibility. There were people who said, and people very prominent, like there were people who said it'll never be done. It can't be done. And here we are, 7 years later, and they're quadrupling frame rates on games that they're not, that a developer doesn't even have to touch, that they're doing it on their end. Listen, it's just they're about gaming, man, and I'm glad that they're where they're at right now, and feel real good about Xbox.
This is like when I do a lot of my like modding stuff, like even right now with the OG Xbox. There's people that have like figured out how to code in to make the games widescreen, the games that didn't support that, where it actually gives you more field of view, doesn't just stretch out the screen. And it's like things like this, like they're going in there, and even if it was capped, they're going in there and making it, go past where the initial developer, capped it at. So it's like they're in the gaming field, they're like doing the Lord's work, like going back and doing stuff they didn't need to. Developers like back, previous to this gen didn't bother doing any of that unless they sold you a repackaged item. So just doing this for basically for free, that audio, HDR. So it's really some really cool features, and it'll be awesome if they do that and go back to some of the 360 games and uncap some of those. That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, one thing funny that I heard was, I don't know if you guys heard this too. It was on that interview where he said that some of the games like are incompatible, like where their animations are like tied to the frame rate or it's too fast. And he said that that's some of the things, some of the games that can't be done because of that. But I thought that was funny is that there's a lot involved in here, like just like the animations and stuff. But he was saying it was like it looked weird, like because the animations were even faster than I guess the frame rate, and I guess it looks sped up. But yeah, it's crazy stuff. I mean that they did that. And what would be the biggest game that you guys would want? You can't say Red Dead because I don't think Red Dead's it's too physically demanding for that. And I don't think that they would, even the publisher would allow that. You know what I mean? So try to be realistic. What game would you want at like 120 or 60?
Oh boy, that's a good question.
Castlevania Lords of Shadow on the 360.
Okay, here's one. Sunset Overdrive.
Oh
yeah,
my goodness!
That's
ding,
the
ding,
number
ding.
one.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
See,
Like,
Even if they had to lower the resolution, because they said it's somewhat tight. If they lower the resolution, they can get a little more. So even if they had to lower the resolution a little bit on Sunset Overdrive to get to 660, I mean it is 900p.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it, man.
Yeah.
Yo,
Just to
Tim,
see that.
Tim, I got to say something about this, man. And you just kind of like you gave me a segue. See, that's how much we've done this before. You gave me a segue without even kind of like knowing it. But with this whole FPS boost, now the older games, that's really awesome. Bringing games from 30 to 60 to 120 or whatnot. But a lot of people question the Series S. All right. They question how long is the Series S going to last through this generation. But if you look at the technology that Xbox is dealing with, what they're dealing with, messing around with resolution, what they're dealing with, downloading kind of like lower resolution textures and then letting machine learning bring it up to 4K textures on your system when you're playing it. You look at this FPS boost right here. All these things, and I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but all these things can be implemented in newer games as well, on the Series S that are dealing with the already lower resolutions, already lower textures, using an FPS boost to make sure that, the game is running at 60 frames per second, keeping the Series S viable and a really good option kind of like moving forward where it's not going to hinder in terms of performance and stuff like that when you're using all these different boosts and all the different capabilities of machine learning. I think a lot of this is going to be used with the Series S, and I think the Series S is going to be there this entire generation, and people are going to be like, wow, man, maybe I should have picked that up at some point in time.
Yeah. No, I mean, you make a good point there, Xbot. Yeah, this is a pretty big deal, honestly. I mean, I know PlayStation does something similar with the PlayStation 5. I mean, they do have unlocked frame rates on a few of their titles, but Xbox, the backwards compatibility team, is actually going in there. They're not changing any code, but they're working some magic kind of behind the scenes, if you will. I won't get into the technicality of it because I probably can't explain it that well, but they're working their technological magic there, their engineering magic. And
has anybody gone back and played any of the games that they put this boost into?
Well,
Some of the guys did. I think Colt has. He says you can definitely notice it, but that's coming soon. I think that we'll be able to test that.
No, I'm doing it right now. I've got, let's see, Watch Dogs 2 playing on my PC right now, and it's actually telling me that it's actually playing at 60 frames a second. Now, this is actually recording it directly off of the Series X onto a USB drive.
Wow. Are you in alpha?
No, I'm in no program at all.
That's a release.
Yeah, it is telling me right now, according to my computer, that the frame rate is at 60 frames a second. I read a couple articles that said that they even noticed the frame rates for the 120 Super Lucky's Tale was even there. I don't got a monitor even capable of doing something like that, so I didn't even worry about that. But I wanted to go back and try some of these old games, and I mean, not to sound cheesy, but I think I fell in love with Far Cry 4 again. I mean, it's really cool to see some of these games actually, like, to me, when I saw Far Cry 4, I wasn't sure if it was actually, like you said, actually doing it at the time, or if this is something that they hadn't rolled out yet. And I was just watching the movie. I was like, this is way too fluid. This looks way too clean. I have to check it. And yeah, my computer was telling me it was doing 60 frames a second.
All right, check this out real quick. I just want to shout out, first off, the Geeky Nerd in the chat was talking about, because when I said about the Series S, he's like, oh yeah, but then you're going to have to buy the storage. Now, see, the thing is here, the games that get downloaded on the Series S are automatically smaller by nature because they're not the 4K textures and stuff like that. You know, it's literally catered to the smaller system, which means a smaller size of the game. Now, I'm looking at what I have on my Series S right now. I have 11.6 gigabytes free. I have Destiny 2. I have Hitman 3. I have The Medium. I have No Man's Sky, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Tetris Effect, Watch Dogs Legion, Cyberpunk, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, PGA 2K21, Cyber Shadow, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Wreckfest, and Indiana Jones. I have all of that and 11 gigabytes still free. Dude, it's not a problem. Trust me.
Nice way to sum that up. Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing. You know, people talk about storage, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to be that big an issue as you're kind of just talking about.
Dude, I have some huge games downloaded. Cyberpunk is a huge game. Watch Dogs Legion is a huge game. Destiny 2 with all the expansions is a huge game. You know, Hitman 3 is a huge game. No Man's Sky is a huge game. Come on, man.
Yeah. No, those are pretty big. Do you guys think that they showed off the right titles to kind of announce this? Because I did see some talk. I mean, you know, Super Lucky's Tale, it's kind of a, it's a nice title. Don't get me wrong. I played it. I liked the game, but it's kind of a smaller title. Sniper Elite 4 is a couple of years old. Far Cry 4 as well. Again, these are good games, but should they have shown off more like maybe a couple of their first party titles in this list as well?
Yeah, probably not the best batch. And just like backwards compatibility, showing off the, Mass Effect, the last level of Mass Effect, when Mike Ybarra announced that was kind of an odd choice too.
I think that this batch of games was pretty much, first off, they wanted to show variety. You know, they had the kids, they had
Sports.
they had the sports, they had the shooter, stuff like that. But I also think that these were probably the first titles that really kind of like reacted very well to the technology.
Exactly. Yep.
I made the joke last night that remember when Phil Spencer came out and said that they were, halting backwards compatibility and that they were going to use the team to bring the current library forward to the new generation of consoles. And I could just see how somebody was probably working on a game and probably had to call someone over going like, look at the frame rate on this. Look at what it's doing. And at that time, somebody was like, I could really see this being a good thing in the future.
Yeah, well, you know what? Listen, Xbox is the FPS console right now. Has the most 120 frames per second games, and probably the most 60 frames per second games because this technology is going to be implemented in, like I said, a game every 2 weeks or a couple of games. And I know one of the games is going to be we all do Fallout 4, which is really cool. The other one, I think Major Ed Nelson had a slip up. Dragon Age Inquisition 4 or whatever. That game is going to be 60. But yeah, you basically, we
So
all
the
talk
new
about
Mass Effects are going to be 62. Did I hear someone say that?
No, I didn't. The Dragon Quest. Remember?
No,
Dragon?
but I heard somebody said they showed the Mass Effect level in
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be 60.
Yeah.
Like the new remasters.
The one thing, like I said, was a really informative interview, but they also approached that, whereas is that you're going to have to get permission from the publisher too. So you're not going to just do a game and say Red Dead and then you do it, then they're not making a remake. You understand? Like if they're making a remake or Mass Effect's getting a remake, which it is, or things, they're going to probably block it. But like we said, there's a bunch of games. I mean, there's over how many games? Another thing of note is that it doesn't seem to be with if it is like an enhanced game, it's possible that if you switch this, I believe that you don't get the enhancements, or like I said, that because they could from the interview and what was asked, they could toggle the resolution and they get more gains. Like if they lower the resolution and then they speed up the game a certain way, it seems to work better. It's quite really crazy, innovative stuff, and to think that they stumbled across this and then they kind of delayed it because you guys remember we were supposed to hear about this in like August, but they went to the labs on this and they're putting a lot of time and testing. And even what was suggested by James Stannard on Twitter, who's awesome Twitter. He's, I believe, like the number 2 technical guy in Xbox. He said, how about we test it? Like the players test it, and then we report back, have like, beta groups or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that we could do and have a lot of games that utilize this. And like I said, we all talk about frames per second. Xbot himself was always talking about frames last generation, and now we have a console that it's essentially working as a PC, doing the same type of stuff where they thought that stuff was never capable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess people are still interested in older games, huh? Oh man, like. Yeah, it is pretty amazing, guys. Like, I mean, with the integration with even the auto HDR, I mean, it really gives incentive back to going back and replay these older titles.
Well, thanks to Xbox kind of like, being firm that you made a purchase, whether it was last generation before, or even this generation, right? You made a purchase and like you're going to want to still use that at points in time. So why not over time, as technology gets better, improve it? And one thing I have noticed, because people are like, oh, we don't want to play old games. You do want to play old games if they are performing better. Look at all the remasters that are coming out and how people are hyped for remasters and the new kind of like shiny on the older game. The gameplay itself isn't changing, but you're getting the HDR, you're getting the better resolution, the better texture, stuff like that. And that right there, that market tells you that gamers, they still want to play the older games, but they want that newer coat of paint on it. They want a better performance, and Xbox is going to give that to people without necessarily charging them for a new old game, if that makes sense. They're just going to let the system do it. Like, here you go, 60 frames per second, no problem. Oh, you want better resolution, no problem. Better performance across the board. Here you go for games you already bought.
Yeah, no, that's that's a nice deal. That's a nice deal. And
I like it.
When you're invested in the system already, and they're just giving you more options and updates to these games, it's fantastic, especially if they're free. So I'm not complaining by any means, and they're just giving you incentive to play, and I'm all for that. But yeah, guys, I really like this boost, this frame rate boost that Xbox is doing, and hey, we'll see what more improvements are down the line and what other games they start announcing for that and revealing. I'm looking forward to that. Now, moving on, my friends, and last week we covered the news of Google canning its internal studios. Well, some news reports have been making the rounds, and things may have been worse than first thought. And apparently a big factor for Google shuttering its internal studios is because of Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax and Bethesda. Now, shockingly, do you think Google got scared off seeing their competition making such aggressive moves?
I mean, that's probably part of it. I did see a funny, hilarious post that I thought Phil, wanted diversity in the gaming space, but no, he that Bethesda move, he did that, and he's the one that closed down, Stadia. I'm like, he doesn't control what Google does.
He did that strictly to shut down Stadia.
Yeah, it's like, no, him getting Bethesda was just locking down studios where they were lacking that area to compete with
a little chessboard
Sony
in
and
his house
Nintendo
with other companies written on it, and he knocked over Google's chess piece.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was probably just a piece. It was already kind of going that way. Like when they released, I know there's some huge fans of Stadia, but like when that thing released, it was just like, it was almost dead on release. It was just like this is it. And then even the people that were invested into that program, the Founders Edition, some of them were getting their Founders Edition way after people that pre-ordered like weeks or months before the release. Like they were still waiting on theirs. It was just a terrible launch. And then on top of that,
Yep.
you had a lot of games, like there were supposed to be more games that were, I think were going to be available in their program, and stuff just kept getting delayed. And yeah, I mean, this would be a huge blow to them, taking away a huge amount of third-party games that Stadia would probably benefit from, like, when the next Skyrim or next Elder Scrolls game drops, or Starfield. I'm sure they could benefit because a lot of people will just want to spend hundreds of hours. You see how many times Skyrim sold, so many copies, so many iterations, so it keeps going. So I'm sure that would have been a great moneymaker, boost to their Stadia. But the writing was already on the wall. So as soon as it died, as soon as Phil announced that xCloud was basically just going to be, oh, if you already have Game Pass Ultimate, you already have it. Like, that's it. And then all those games are coming there day one. There's no way, but Stadia was going to compete with that. I don't even know what Amazon's play is. Maybe it's going to be a little side thing for them. Who knows?
Yeah, memberships.
Luna, but
maybe with membership, maybe with Prime. Yeah, they can tie in maybe services somehow, and it's not going to be as big as what Google was pushing for. I mean, listen, you went over it when they had the first show, and I watched Phil Harrison. That man can sell a vision, and he had me pumped. I remember I even talked to some Xbox people, and I was like, yeah, I have to say, really impressed. But the reality was they never really even came close to delivering what they were saying they were going to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And for this story to get out, and Phil really not acknowledging it or saying it, kind of said it's true. I think he even said it. That's kind of unfair, I think, because you just listen. I heard in the summer they were gone. so I know this story is true. I heard this, 3 weeks prior to when the news broke that they were out even like way before, and I guess Bethesda was the killer, the nail in the coffin per se for first party creation. Um, but they were never serious about it. And one of the things that Phil Spencer had to do with Microsoft was what Harrison had to try to do with Google to get them to buy in. And for them to just pull the plug after a year and a half, really unfair to the studios, really unfair to video games. But Google, they were the ones that I don't think really, they don't want to, they realize that they're, bit off more than they can chew, and they just want to go with, what they're going with right now without game creation. We'll see how far that goes, but like I said, I just think that it's unfair to bring in Phil Spencer on all of that. To be honest, they should have had Bethesda signed, and they should have had somebody else signed with the money that they're pulling in.
It's just a hard sell for gamers, like, because because people are calling them out as soon as they announced Stadia. They're like, "Oh, well, how long until they, just get out of it or cancel it?" And it's a hard sell because the games. If I buy a game there, I know it's kind of stuck in this like limbo like service somewhere where you hear people that bought Google Music, they have to transfer their account to YouTube Music, otherwise they lose it. And then at least with Xbox, if you buy digital stuff, it's still locked to that physical console. Like it still has a physical presence, whereas Google has no presence. So
they had a lot of problems just all over, and they started with being on Reddit, and listen, they have some passionate fans too. MM2K, he's a friend that I'm in group chat with. Very passionate fan about Stadia, really wants it to do well, and I kind of respect that. So they did have some passion. They had fans, but it wasn't like he still believes in them. Maybe they could pull something out of a hat, in my opinion. But they had some interesting ideas, like with the clickbait. The click-based gaming where you could be like, no, but like you could like hit a YouTube and everyone could be in a game. And they talked about like the games in the cloud. Remember that was one of the things that they were talking about building. Like imagine building a game at the multiplayer level, not at the local level. So like they had some really good ideas. But again, like video games is something that, it takes a lot of time. Just look at Microsoft, how powerful how big they were at the start of the gen. They got knocked on their ass, and it took them basically a whole gen to just get back to even respectability, or
back to neutral.
Back to not where the house is burning down.
First off, when it comes to the whole Google thing, you guys stated it in the beginning. As soon as they announced it, people are like, well, how long is it going to be before they just give up on it? They have a habit of starting projects that seem really cool, not necessarily giving what they had promised, and then cutting it and moving on. I mean, they have a shit ton of money. All right. They can easily like see things through. Here's the deal when it comes to gaming, especially, console gamers. I know they didn't make a console, but they were trying to attract the console gamer over to what they were doing with Stadia. You got to spend money to make money. This is not an industry that you can just come into and just automatically be successful. All right. The original Xbox, it came in and it created some noise. It started some rumbles, right? But at the end of the day, it was nowhere near number one in the category of consoles, but it was a good start. And that's the way this industry is. That's the way the console gaming community is. They look at the new people and they're like, all right, well, what are you going to do? And unfortunately, with Google cutting their first party the way they did, they didn't spend the money to make the money. They didn't spend the money to get established in this community and in this industry as a viable place to play your games. Not only
Also,
that,
I
what's
was
going
just going to say also, they needed something to differentiate themselves from, and they kind of do in a way with xCloud, but it's not enough. Like, they really needed something to like set them apart. And it just wasn't, there wasn't enough of that there.
The YouTube stuff would have been awesome. That would have set them apart, but it wasn't ready and it never came. You see what I'm saying? Where you can have like your subscribers waiting in a queue to join a game with you right through YouTube and stuff like that. They had something there that was unique, but they never had it there. You know what I'm saying? They talked about it. They said, these are our plans, and it never came to fruition. And I'll be damned. I don't think it's ever going to come to fruition. Now, when it comes to Phil Spencer, when it comes to Xbox and the whole ZeniMax deal, first off, I know Xbox talked about their real competitors, but that was in terms of wallet size. All right. Now, Google has the wallet, but they didn't open it up fully, and then they decided to close it at the end of the day. All right. This acquisition was for Xbox. ZeniMax, Bethesda was for Xbox. It was for Microsoft wholeheartedly. Not thinking about Google or Amazon or anything like that. They wanted to make sure that they could be self-sufficient when it comes to Game Pass, if they have to be. All right. They wanted to make sure that they were going to have quality titles. I think what Matt Booty said something like, once they get this once all the gears are run like working and flowing together, they're talking about like 4 exclusives a year dropping, like no problem.
The idea was like a kind of a big title every quarter, but that was even prior to what they got going on now, and what I think that they have in the future. I think now it's, to be honest, and I think that this might get reiterated down the line, especially if they get more acquisitions. They're going to be looking to do something pretty much monthly. They want you to buy into that Netflix model. They want you to just that same logic. Like, think about it. When you have Netflix now, there's always like a show each month now that's coming. It's going to be the same thing with games.
Well, and here's the thing. When it comes to Bethesda, there are so many franchises. Well, when it comes to ZeniMax, there are so many franchises that, we all know as multi-platform as well, right? And this is something I catch a lot of flack from when it comes to like, diehard Xbox guys. I feel that like some of their titles are going to stay multi-platform, right? The games are going to go day and date into Game Pass, which that Netflix model, Tim, that you were talking about right there still makes it incredibly attractive, even more than what it is now. But they're still, they're going to get revenue from other platforms for certain franchises and stuff. And they're going to come off looking pro gamer, as in we're not creating a stable around all these franchises and making you purchase Xbox, get Game Pass, stuff like that. These titles that you love, that is multi-platform, we'll sell them multi-platform, no problem. Day and date in Game Pass for sure. And then, because they did say case by case basis when it came to the ZeniMax acquisitions and games, newer games like Starfield, stuff like that, I can see them totally going Xbox platform exclusive, which means on PC as well. And guys, that is not a bad thing. All right. You have all this revenue going into Xbox to still make more exclusives for your platform as well. So it doesn't matter if I'm just going to pull a franchise out of the hat. Let's say Elder Scrolls, which I think Elder Scrolls might that actually has a chance to be exclusive, but just say that goes multi-platform. It wouldn't be the end of the world, because you have other games that are coming out that will be. I strongly believe Starfield is going to be an Xbox exclusive now. If you hear when they talk about Starfield, when you hear people from Xbox talk about it, it's like they have a little grin going on when they're talking about it. Like, yo, we got something here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. But to bring it right around, like Phil wasn't even thinking I need to bury Stadia. Phil was thinking I need to expand for Game Pass and for Xbox. All right. And then the quality is just going to speak for itself. And the quality is going to end up burying other competitors that are trying to come up against Game Pass, xCloud, and Xbox.
One thing competitors also have to worry about, which makes it interesting, is how does a competitor get into the gaming space knowing that if you can't I hate to use the word appease, we'll just say appeal to the consumers of gaming, they will reject you right away and you will pretty much like not even get your foot in the door.
Dude, when the OG Xbox came out and Halo started making the rounds, it was a huge thing. The game was huge. But guess what?
And that's what got their kind of foot in the door. People to kind of look at.
But that only got their foot in the door. It only gave Xbox credibility. That huge game, that historic game, Halo Combat Evolved, only got them their foot in the door. You see what I'm saying?
I remember we had The Rock on stage with Bill Gates revealing the original Xbox. I remember all the hype around that thing, and then also when Halo came out. And that's where I just the only way to really look at Stadia is failure to start and overconfidence and thinking that, I'm sorry, but they are not Kevin Costner. This wasn't the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will not come.
But dude, they only built it halfway. Like, they didn't,
I know.
They promised a shed. They promised a 2-car garage. They promised like a picket fence, and they didn't build any of that, dude.
Well, they staked it out. They staked out the ground. They were like, well, this is what it's gonna look like.
It's in the blueprints, man. But it was never. They didn't put a 2x4 together in any of those things.
You knew what was gonna happen the minute during the Q&A before it came out about the lack of multiplayer or the ability to even buy games. You had to buy games online. You couldn't physically do it on the Stadia or something like that. I mean, when you watch the Q&A for Stadia before the launch, you was like, oh, this ain't good. This ain't good. They are forcing this out into the wild before it's even built.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Bethesda, guys, there's been some rumors swirling that Xbox will be holding a Bethesda event in the near future. So. According to GameBeat's Jeff Grubb, once the deal closes from Microsoft, the purchase, Xbox will want to talk about it in a very big way, and he's speculating maybe in mid-March. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I think they'll have some kind of a big shindig for Bethesda.
I'm not going to say whether or not they are going to have it. I'm going to say if they have it, I feel like this is going to be the big unveil for the gameplay of Starfield. Because I feel that Starfield is a lot further along than some gamers out there on social media want to believe. All right. And, you have to make the acquisition final and all that stuff before you really go in and start touting what you have coming soon, and I feel like if they do this, I think the main event, and they're going to talk about other things. I think they're going to talk about some of the franchises that people know and love from these development studios. But I think the main event will be the gameplay reveal of Starfield. And of course, running on the Series X, man. I can't wait.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you could pretty much, I'd say it's a good bet that they're going to have, first I think it's going to get announced. Then I think that they're going to have some type of celebration or some type of media day to welcome and bring them in. I think they've all been waiting for this a long time. Kind of tell the Bethesda story even deeper. Talk to people like Peter Hines, Todd Howard. I just think that they're going to have an event. And if you guys know, Bethesda probably running the event. So that's where it gets kind of funny is that Bethesda when they run events, man, I went to one of them. They know how to run events. So
I remember my first Bethesda event I ever watched online, and I have Todd Howard walking out on the stage going, "Who's ready for some effing games?" I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be good."
Yeah, exactly. So that's funny that you remembered that, because to my point is that they're very good at that. So I do think that, yes, Bethesda is going to do that, and it's going to be a collaboration. Phil's going to talk about it. I do think that you're going to see Starfield, and I would think that they're going to say it's going to be PC, Xbox exclusive, and then I think that they'll just probably tiptoe again, saying it's case by case. Listen, they don't owe the gaming media anything. They don't owe PlayStation fans anything. All those two people said for 4 years was, "You got no games. You got no publishers. You know." Let's be honest. They ridiculed and put down, and rightfully so. But they definitely took it to Xbox. So Xbox now can play that game that Sony does so well. Either put a game that's going to be coming in a year and don't even talk about it, or don't even acknowledge it. But present, it's gonna. I think Xbox fans are gonna be happy. I don't see them being stupid and saying, we're gonna put our games on all the systems, because I just think that would just really backlash on them. For the reasons that I've stated, everyone knew that Xbox had a problem with games. It was talked about numerous times, over and over and over, and I think that just gearing from Xbox fans and probably this panel, some don't care as much, but there's a lot of Xbox fans that are really hardcore going to be pissed if they're going to PlayStation, and I think Xbox knows that. So the thing for Xbox is going to be is to play it safe, probably announce a game, announce what they're working on and certain other stuff. Be a little cagey on some of the things, but I think you'll get a little bit of info on the exclusivity.
Yo, Tim, just real quick on the whole kind of the hardcore Xbox people. And again, what I'm stating here is I'm not saying that every single game that's going to come out from these studios is going to be multi-plat. Mm-hmm. But yo, Tim, I'm pleading for you to hear me on this though. Xbox has tried, they've worked really hard at kind of polishing up their image from what happened, with the Xbox One. And one of their things was being pro gamer, right? Mm-hmm. So I really feel like there are going to be some franchises that will stay multi-plat.
I agree with you. I do think Wolfenstein 3, they're going to have some games and they're going to have a reason. I don't know if they'll be day and date though. It could be 6 months. It could be that thing. But I agree with you. I don't think it's. I think what they said is probably the truth, case by case. Mm-hmm. So certain games, Indiana Jones, like that game. There's another Lucasfilms is involved. Mm-hmm. I could see that. MMOs people talk about. I could see that. Wolfenstein, because there's a trilogy. It's the end of the story. That type of stuff.
What about Fallout? What about Fallout?
Fallout, that's going to be questionable. Yeah, I don't know.
How about this? Because they have Obsidian as well, right? Mm-hmm. How about Fallout stays multi-plat, right? But the Fallout New Vegas branch off is exclusive.
Well, that's smart.
To Xbox.
Yeah. Well, that would be a smart thing to do, and that'd be creative. But yeah, that would be down the line. But yeah, no, that's a great idea. To handle something like that even announcing it and putting it out in 3 years, they'd probably have to expand. Obsidian's knee deep in work right now. Yeah. They're doing some great things. But yeah, no, that's a great idea. They could be creative, or they could also be cagey and say, they just announce it like Sony does, and then 6 months down the line, just say, "Oh, it's releasing in 2 weeks on PlayStation." Yeah. But I see a lot of Xbox fans who are very adamant about it. I'm kind of with you. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, we are, as much as we're bitching and complaining as people will be, if it does happen, still getting the game day one, which is, if you really think about it, is so crazy that you're going to have all these awesome games in addition to what the 18 other studios that Xbox have, or the 16 other studios that Xbox have that they're pushing out.
Yeah, Tim, they spent
crazy.
money. They spent money to make money. I wish Google would have learned that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Because look at all the studios they bought in the last few years. Like it's been insane. Now that's something. And again, when Stadia was announced, one of the first things that people said, well, how long before this dies? Because nobody saw them actually opening up their wallet and doing what needed to be done to become a pillar in the gaming industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what, guys? I'll go a little bit further, and I'll state that I think most of the games are going to be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem, just for the fact that I don't think Microsoft would spend like $7 billion on studios and
Can I answer you on that?
Yeah.
Can I answer you on that? Because that's what a lot of people are saying. They're like,
I probably bet I know what you're going to say.
They're like, they wouldn't spend $7 billion. But with that $7 billion, if you get amazing exclusives, plus you get the right on established franchises to still make money on the Xbox platform and on other platforms that you weren't making money on, you weren't like making games for in the past. You know what I'm saying? Like that's actually more of your money coming back. That's actually makes that $7 billion that you spent. It makes it more credible that you spent that much money, because now not only are you making money on the exclusives that these studios are making for your platform, which is also again on PC. I feel like I have to say that all the time. I'm not saying console, I'm saying on your platform. But you're making those exclusives, and then you are still putting out established franchises that are multi-plat, which means you're still making money. You're now making money on PlayStation. You're now making money on Nintendo. You're now making money in other places as well, bringing back more revenue to put back into more games. And of course, with more games, more exclusives. I don't understand how they spent $7 billion. How that actually makes sense to make all the games exclusive then.
No, he has a point. Listen, you got very good points. And I think, I think the debate that we're having right now in this podcast mirrors the debate that they have at Microsoft. Now, do you guys remember Tim Stewart, the CFO of Xbox, had some comments? I think... Yeah, he had some comments about this. And he's more along the lines of what you're saying, Xbot. He's saying, they could be first, or they could have the play it best, or they could have certain type of maybe exclusive something to
exclusive
Xbox.
Content.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, and that makes sense too. There's a lot of ways to it, but I think just in all, this is it's a really strong debate from both sides. But listen, maybe there's just people are just a little salty from the abuse that Xbox fans took, and Xbox itself for having no games. If Xbox didn't have the problems that they had, maybe people wouldn't care as much, because again, like I said, we're getting it day one on Game Pass, and that's just an amazing feat in itself. I remember hearing about the deal of Warner Brothers, and I heard it would just be possibly one of the things I heard in passing was it would just be for Game Pass.
Real quick,
multi-plat.
My bad, Tim. My bad.
No
to fast back, for the NLG podcast, he asked me how do you grow Game Pass if gamers can play it out of the Xbox ecosystem? And first off, I'm not saying all franchises. Okay, I'm not saying all franchises, handpick franchises to go multi-plat. I have no problem with that. But how does it grow Game Pass? Well, you still have Halo. You still have Forza. You still have Hellblade 2. You still have, the other studios that are also making exclusive games as well, which will inherently grow Game Pass. But then you also have Bethesda making games like I stated earlier that Starfield is going to be exclusive, going day and date into Game Pass. But then you have multi-plats for franchises that are established. And again, I will just throw Elder Scrolls out there. Elder Scrolls comes out, it's multi-platform, but you don't have to put down the $60 or $70. If you have Game Pass, you can just download it right then and there. Do you not think that would grow Game Pass that way? You have the exclusives. You have the established exclusives as well with the Halo, Gears, Forza. You have the newer exclusives coming in with Hellblade 2, stuff like that. Then you have Bethesda with their exclusives plus multi-plats going all day and date into Game Pass. That will grow Game Pass.
Well, let me just say something to a point of your point, since you brought something up to me. I want to bring something up to you and ask you what you think. Now, let's just say we say about the pro gamer stance, and couldn't Xbox say, and over this year, and by the time Bethesda games come out, you're going to see that you could play xCloud on a shitty laptop. Anything with an internet connection or via a dongle like, Chromecast through Xbox. Couldn't they say the same thing? It's pro gamer. If you say, hey, if you really want to pay it, just play it on your PC or through xCloud through Game Pass. And I think that, the addition to play different games in different areas is not really saying and then excluding the PlayStation fan as much as we would think. You know what I mean? Because it's not like the pay barrier to get into really to play these games could just be $10. If you don't own a console, you can play it on your desktop.
Yeah.
I definitely hear you on that. My whole thing with this, like, first off, I'm trying to think business wise. And I know there's a lot of people who are emotional out there who have dealt with so much stuff going, throughout the Xbox One era, so many quality games that have been run through the mud just because of resolution and this and that and whatnot. And then all of a sudden the narrative that Xbox has no games. Like you guys have been through a lot. I've been right there with you guys. You know what I'm saying? I've been right there with you guys. I am talking business at the end of the day, though. All right. And with business, you don't put emotion into that. Okay. And they have something for the people who have been through holy hell. All right. And I think it's going to be a lot of quality games and a lot of exclusives. I'm not trying to say that, they're just going to completely ignore the exclusives. They want the Xbox platform to be known with certain high quality games, high quality franchises, and they're going to do that, right? I think they want newer franchises as well, like that, like I said, with that Starfield and all that good stuff. But I haven't seen them be cutthroat. And I'm not the type of person. There's gamers out there that are like, well, do what PlayStation does. Do what PlayStation does.
They're not like that.
And I'm like, the reason why I like them is because they don't do what PlayStation does.
Yeah, you have a good point there.
They were going to take it away. I mean,
they did say
that would be a game that I would see probably as being an Xbox game and not like a multi.
Good point.
They're not going to put Elder Scrolls and Starfield on a platform that doesn't have Game Pass as an option. If that's not there, if Sony doesn't allow it, I don't think there's any way they're putting like those megaton games on that platform and letting you get around Game Pass. Like that's their whole go-to right now. That's their whole focus. They're not going to just just buy it on PlayStation and we're not going to try to sucker you into Game Pass.
So I want to at least kind of back up Xbot here, kind of like, because what I do for a living, when it comes to business, you can't have emotions per se. let's take back at Minecraft. They spent 2.5 billion on one game. Now we're talking about 7.5 billion. I think it was on 15 studios. So let's just say that Microsoft has the capacity to keep a large game multiplat. And so to look at it from a business point of perspective, the world of economy is like an ocean, and you got to throw your fishing lure out there to attract, obviously, the fish, the consumer, whatever you want to call them. And the idea of like keeping a game like Minecraft multiplat is you're exposing people to Microsoft. Or, oh, this is owned by Microsoft. This is Microsoft. You're exposing them to them. So you're pretty much putting that little peck in the back of their mind of the Microsoft ecosystem. So they're going to let some of these big titles that have already been existing for a very long time. Because, we don't want it to turn also into Gears, Forza, Halo, Fallout, titles that have already been around for a little while. So they're going to let these titles that have already been around for a while kind of stand for themselves, possibly, be a little bit multi-plat here and there. But when it comes to the newer stuff, I really feel that's where we as Xbox ecosystem adopters are going to definitely benefit. Mm-hmm. In the fact that we are going to have a lot of these games exclusive, and the one exclusive feature that was given to us over the multi-plat games is day one adopters on other ecosystems had to fork out $60, $80, $90, whatever games happen to be in the future. We wouldn't have to do that because we have Game Pass through Microsoft. Mm-hmm. And that's and I don't care what parent you are, you already know the value in Game Pass because you could literally pay a small monthly fee and your kid will have access to a large library of games that's constantly rotating out.
Yeah, they didn't spend 7.5 billion for you to go into GameStop and then the clerk say, "Yeah, Xbox has no games. You should get a PS5."
And that's where I really feel they're letting, like, Game Pass is almost speaking for itself. Like, I remember when nobody would adopt a Game Pass, and now it's hard. Like, I remember we all get those codes whenever we buy something from Microsoft, and we're like, "Oh, I want to give this to somebody who doesn't have Game Pass." Wow, I don't know anybody who doesn't have Game Pass.
I think this is a really good discussion we're having here because everybody's been having this discussion for, since this was announced.
4 months.
4 months. And eventually they will answer the question. Hopefully it's whenever they
wait
have
until it's
this.
announced that Xbox bought Sega. Then it's going to erupt again.
I like how the narrative, rather than the narrative going to Xbox has no games to Xbox now has games, we are now with the media, Jim Ryan, both of them are crying, what games do we have left?
For real.
I will say, though, guys, that, I do have a more aggressive stance with how Microsoft is going to go with this, but time will decide this, and I do think Xbox has made some really good points to this. It's just I don't think that they would buy this brand and all these big name classic properties like Doom, Wolfenstein, and so on, Fallout, just to put it on multi-platform. Well, that's me personally, but go ahead, Tim.
No, I just noticed your passion, and I noticed a lot of passion of a lot of Xbox fans. Just really have went to bat for this on the subject, or they're a little bit crazy on it. I actually, Xbox, a lot of his explanations and things he said, very true. And I don't know. Listen, I'm not going to go crazy. Maybe the old Tim would have went crazy. But if some of these games go exclusive, multi-platform, I'm not going to go too crazy. But with that being said, I do see a real big backlash. I think you would be pissed. I think a lot of people in the community, prominent people in the community, and I kind of feel like they would take a hit there publicly.
You could let these games also speak. Now, imagine playing Fallout 5, a multi-plat game that is running beautifully on the Series X, but is excuse the expression, not running at the same performance rate on the PS5, and it has nothing to do with Microsoft going in and doing something in the game to run that way.
Well,
It's just going
that's
to
the
be
narrative that'll be presented, though.
exactly. That's going to
Right.
be they're gonna, but that's where Microsoft, I really feel, at least first, is going to use some of these games to help control the narrative, because we know Digital Foundry is going to be putting these games right up next to each other. And if they can prove the performance of the Series X, the Series S, the Xbox ecosystem over the PlayStation ecosystem, it's going to speak for itself. Like, hey, look at how great the games work over here, and you guys still can't use an external hard drive.
Yeah, and I
Wow.
think that Minecraft.
They gotta get that external hard drive.
Shots fired.
That's honestly though. I mean, not to change subject, we're still on subject, but what would this panel be like if we didn't have external hard drive storage? I mean, for me, I bought that thing even though it was very expensive. But like Xbox had it day one. I mean, Sony got to get that crazy. For me, I go crazy.
And you still can't integrate an NVMe to the board, so you can't expand the memory on a PlayStation. Period. Very well.
I do think the Minecraft comparison's kind of weird, because like that one was buying in on the low, like it was still growing. And it was also
it was the number one game for years before they bought it, man. And you know what they did?
No.
They marketed it really.
They've more than like doubled what it already was. Like they've grown it.
That's what Microsoft and Xbox did with it. And the thing about
it's already on every platform. The only new revision is the what do you call it? The Minecraft Dungeons.
It was already available on PlayStation. I checked,
brother. It was the marketing on that whole thing. And now, if you look at it, when people say Minecraft, what's the first thing they think? Xbox, even though it's multi-plat. Like, tell me I'm wrong. When somebody says Minecraft,
it was already on every platform. What were they going to do? Rip it from the store?
All right, but they also, first off, they made money hand over fist on it.
They didn't make a sequel.
But that's where you said it was on every platform, and that's where they're going to approach games that are already on every platform as a case-by-case scenario. And I'm pretty sure they're going to let some of these games that are already on every platform maybe kind of continue over for another
type of game. That's like a big community game. So yeah, like an ESO, they're going to keep those going, just like Fallout 76. They're going to keep those going because there's an online based.
Should they keep Fallout 76 going though? Really? Yeah, I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's growing a lot more than it was at the start, but they're going to keep those going in multi-platform.
Well, we got to remember Fallout 76 was how ESO is going to go multiplayer. So technically, Fallout 76 still plays a very large role in trying to create the engine that's going to be like the multiplayer engine for ESO. I mean, for the next Elder Scrolls game. At least that was last time I heard.
But Microsoft, real quick, Microsoft got exactly what they wanted out of the Minecraft deal. All right. Again, business-wise, they made a ton of money after that acquisition on that game. And when it comes to mind share and when it comes to marketing, again, when you say Minecraft, the first thing you think of is Xbox. Before that acquisition, when somebody said Minecraft, and I don't know if you guys remember back then, when somebody said Minecraft, the first thing that popped up was PC.
The first thing that popped into my head was money, because that thing was generating a shit ton of cash.
But the main platform, it started on PC. Right, it did go over. It went into consoles and stuff like that, but it was always thought of mainly, first and foremost, PC game that's on console. Mm-hmm. Microsoft and Xbox changed all that with the acquisition. They didn't change anything about where the game could be played, but they changed the mindset of it to now when you say Minecraft, you think Xbox. So Xbox got exactly what they wanted out of that deal. They made a lot of money deeper, and they grabbed mindshare.
To go even deeper, we got to remember Sony also signed up on Azure Cloud or on the Azure servers. So outside of Xbox, we got to remember Xbox is a small entity of Microsoft. Microsoft as a whole got to remember that Sony in a small way is one of their customers. And that's where you got to walk a fine line of trying to maintain a great customer relationship as long on top of trying to be respectful as a competitor.
What it wouldn't make any sense though is to like, hey, we're gonna draw the line. Bethesda games are gonna go to PlayStation and everywhere else, but hey, Halo's not going to. But
No,
Starfield,
I'm
a
not
new
saying
IP,
all
is
Bethesda.
gonna go
Never,
to
not.
it.
I will never stand behind the idea that all Bethesda games, ZeniMax games, all these studio games that they got are going to be all multiplat. There's no way. I'm
I never
seeing.
said that either.
I'm seeing like the next Fallout game being used, the next maybe even Elder Scrolls game, something big.
I mean,
to
it'll be
give
like what,
people
a
something
decade
to-
since the last Skyrim, well over a decade before the last Skyrim next one comes out. And people would have already forgotten about, that when that last game debuted. So they could easily just launch that on they already got console, mobile, and PC covered. So if you want to play it, they
On
got every
TV.
platform. You can play it on your phone, PC. You got $10, you don't even need a console. So if people are really upset about, hey, it's not on my PlayStation, I guarantee they might whip out their, high-end phone by that point.
And that's where you might get timed exclusiveness on some stuff.
Yeah.
But you
I think it's going to be a mixed bag.
I don't
But
think they're
look
going to
at,
do that. Take a
look at-
70%
look at,
or 30% cut.
Look at
That's
Apple
all they get
products
from
and how
Sony.
diehard some of the people are over on the Apple side of things. They won't have nothing to do with a Microsoft anything.
Well,
So-
now they got the browser, so they already got that
Well,
way
that's
around.
where I'm just curious on, like, there is going to be some holdouts that would say they want to see something come over to the PlayStation side. And I'm curious on how Microsoft is going to approach them.
Well, they can't hold out. You just need the browser. So they already circumvented their blocking that app.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, either way, guys, there's compelling arguments to go either way, like Tim had alluded to earlier. But it's just, either way, Xbox is being very aggressive with this acquisition, and everybody's going to be, whenever they make the announcement that, hey, whatever they decide on with these games, it's everybody's gonna be on pins and needles watching, especially PlayStation guys. But you know what, guys, we will transition to our last topic of the evening, and you know what, we got some other news to talk about. It's been a little while since we last heard about Second Extinction. It's the co-op dino hunting game first revealed at the Xbox Series X third-party event all the way back in May. And, well, we got some news and a new trailer, and that it'll be coming to the Xbox Game Preview program sometime this spring. Now, Centurion, I'll start off with you on this one. I know you're taking breaks from your Elder Scrolls Online grinding, but you do enjoy shooters. Is this something that you consider checking out?
Oh, my God. I have to chuckle at this. So me and my bro and his kid recently picked up Generation Zero after trying to play that game back in the day, and now we're having a blast playing it. Now, the reason why I bring up Generation Zero is if anybody kind of wants to see kind of the bones, the structure of this whole game for Second Extinction, dude, I mean, this game... let me see. Yeah, where is it at? Systemic Reaction. That's their name. Systemic Reaction is doing Second Extinction, and this game is going to be absolutely awesome. I've already kind of see the open worldness of what they're creating. I've checked out multiple videos. Now, this being said, I know this is going into game preview, but because of the heavy multiplayer nature of this game, I'm really curious on if this is something that is going to also be used in Game Pass. Has anybody heard anything about that?
It'll probably down the line go into Game Pass, I would think.
I mean, because does anybody know anything about the game?
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
On Steam, and it's an early access game. And I have to say, man, the game looks really good. Graphically looks really cool.
Oh, it's really good. No, I've heard that it actually it's a very well-made game. They've actually done a good job, at least in my opinion, with Generation Zero and the robots. And this is where I'm saying you're going to see the building blocks of that. Somehow dinosaurs have taken over the Earth or whatever planet this is taking place on, and like in all good fashion with dinosaurs, people have messed with them. So we've got velociraptors that can shoot electricity, other dinosaurs that can burrow under the ground and leap up on you. T-Rexes that are covered in armor. And it's just going to be you and 2 other players. And you basically, does anybody, oh my God, Invader, the game with the dwarves and the mining.
Oh, Deep Rock.
Yeah,
Deep Rock Galactic. Okay. So imagine that concept where, okay, we got to bring a guy that's got some firepower. You've got another one that can drop a healing station. The characters have purposes, and you got to find that balance of, bringing the right characters with you, depending on the mission structure. And from all the review videos I've seen, because it came out in early, October of last year.
Yes.
For PC, and from all the stuff I've read and watched on the game, because I'm actually wanting to buy this on Steam just to play the game. I might actually buy this on PC. Depending on, they say there's a lot of missions. Some are retrieving dinosaur eggs. Other ones are rescuing team members. They have a wide variety of missions on top of. From what I saw, there was a decent amount of enemies, at least at first. Now, during its beta access or its game preview right now on PC, all you have is the Tundra map, which is it's snow and ice. From what I'm reading, that these maps are supposed to actually change up. There's supposed to be another map that occurs. The nice thing is about what this developer has done is they've gone online. They've put up a great website for secondextinction.com where you can go in. They will show you the enemies. They'll show you the roadmap for the game. Right now, they have everything lined up to around the end of February, kind of like also showing what we're going to get in probably coming the first half of this year, going into the third quarter of this year. It's really nice to see the developer has definitely given us a lot to show this game. And for being only $25 on Steam right now, I'm thinking it's going to be around the same cost on Xbox. So I'm looking forward to getting this game. I'm rambling on long enough about it, but this game, watch some videos on it, get some friends, and be excited. This game looks fun, colorful, and a total blast. No pun intended.
Yeah. No, I like that Xbox has these games, these co-op multiplayer games, because it's a real strength of theirs for to build up multiplayer communities for their games. Obviously, you had mentioned Deep Rock Galactic. I mean, loads of us in the group on our show, we've been playing it together, and man, oh man, is that a ton of fun. Actually, I bought a copy for a friend of mine. I'm like, dude, you got to try out this game, and it's just a load of fun with buds, and you're creating all these memories in these multiplayer environments. And I think that this type of a game can really be that kind of an experience as well, because I mean, while it's not as free with your character creation, I mean, you have heroes here from what I can tell, and they have different classes to them. But otherwise, I mean, you have these, from this Tundra map, for example, you have this large open environment where you can play around and, wreck all kinds of shit. I don't know if there'll be any environmental destruction, but you got these huge dinosaurs that are coming at you, charging at you.
Did you see how the map functioned?
Not exactly, to be honest.
The map is designed into zones, and the zones have a difficulty rating based on if other people are in that zone running their own missions or whatever, or I don't know exactly how that works on how many people are going to be in one map. But basically you could play the game one day and everything goes fine, and you come back the next day and you go to that same zone, but the difficulty has now increased to hard, and so it's going to be a total different situation going into that part of the map. Basically the map changes and evolves, and the difficulty rating kind of affects that. So if you're in a green zone where stuff is kind of easy and laid back, the dinosaurs are not going to be as aggressive. You're not going to have as many of them. But if you're in a red zone or a hard or legendary zone, whatever you want to call it, you're going to be running into mass amounts, like horde status of dinosaurs, including that's where you're going to start seeing some of the big ones as well. And that's where you got to kind of learn the weak points of these particular dinosaurs, enemies, whatever you want to call them, and how they can either benefit you, like with the the Velociraptor ones, they shoot electricity. As you shoot them, you obviously don't want to stand near them, but you can also use them to your advantage by shooting at them in the middle of a horde of other dinosaurs. So it's kind of like trying to figure out what combination of, elements at the time to kind of achieve what you're trying to do. But while you're doing it, there's side missions that pop up and everything. It's not a single player style game, but like they want people to go down there and they want to have like a narrative driven thing that's mostly told by the environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like it's a create your own adventure kind of a game, which I can totally get behind. Now, do you guys think that this is a full-on exclusive? Because it's listed as like Xbox and PC exclusive. Obviously, it's on Steam. But do you guys think that this will come to other platforms eventually, or that it will stay on Xbox permanently as an exclusive?
All right, don't everybody answer at once.
That's a really good question. I don't know because again, it's Avalanche Studios. Isn't Avalanche somehow actually connected to Call of Duty in some way? Am I wrong?
No, they're connected.
I'm not going to say you're wrong. I just don't know any connection.
They're connected to games like Just Cause and Mad Max, those types of games. But either way, I mean, personally, I think it'll stay as an well, I think that it will be an exclusive just because I don't know. I haven't. I think.
Okay, sorry. Rage
what event was this unveiled in?
The May. It first got revealed during their May third-party event.
Oh, okay. What was the last two words of the name of that event?
Yes, the third-party event. Yes.
There you go. I'm thinking there is exclusivity, timed exclusivity, but eventually this is going to go on to other platforms, which is okay, people. It really is okay. Trust me. Once Halo Infinite comes out, no, it's a wrap, bro. It's a wrap.
I mean, well. I'm just giving my thoughts on this. Like, you look at the Medium 2, it was revealed at the same event. I mean, as far as yeah. So, I mean, as far as we know, it could. We don't know the full-time exclusivity on that as well. But I mean, there were a bunch of good games showing off there. I mean, I do think that this will at least stay as an exclusive for maybe a year. Again, I'm just giving my best guess here, but. More games are entering the game preview program these days. Do you guys think that this will be like a growing trend for instead of just having the games launch day one with all the content? Do you guys think that it'll be this whole growing the community thing? I mean, we saw with Sea of Thieves didn't enter a game preview, but it's been growing that community. We saw games like Deep Rock Galactic and so on. Like, do you think that'll be more of a trend going forward?
I think the most popular game that's come out of game preview, and I don't know, you guys feel free to tell me how wrong I am here, would be Ark.
Yeah, number one.
Ark definitely, and as long as there is a success story when it comes to game preview, developers are definitely going to, consider that as an option, especially if, they want to get their game out in the hands of gamers and get feedback and improve on it. And what I like about game preview is the devs have to be confident of their game because they're basically putting it out unfinished and they're catching feedback and they're developing over time, but they got to be, confident of at least the I guess you could say the framework, the gameplay loop, the fundamentals of their game in order for them to put it into game preview. I think it's going to grow. I don't think it's going to like take over or anything like that. I don't think it'll be the big question is it going to game preview? I think people's big question, especially when it comes to the Xbox platform, when a game is announced coming to Xbox, is when's it coming to Game Pass? That is always the main question now. Like, am I going to buy this now or am I going to wait and see down the line if it's coming into Game Pass since I am already a subscriber.
Right.
But I do see game preview still growing, and as long as there's that one success story, and then eventually another one comes along, I think there has to be at least a drip feed of success stories as that option kind of like progresses over time. Developers will always consider putting their game there.
You know, it was a preview game that I think did well as well. Remember Slime Rancher?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that one did well. But for the most part, it's a little bit of a risk because when your game actually releases, sometimes people, don't realize, if they think it's like old news.
Well, a lot of gamers played the crap out of the game preview one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, remember Conan? Remember that game?
Yes.
That was another one.
I'll give you an example, guys. We Happy Few, like when I bought it in game preview at first, I was really turned off by it, but then I got back into the game when it was fully like when they did all the updates to it, and I was one of the few that actually really loved it at first. But go ahead, Tim.
No, it's just that's true. There's success stories, there's stories that didn't go so well. You look at what's the game? The game Obsidian made. It's with the bugs.
Grounded.
And the Grounded. Grounded seems to be doing very well.
It's a great game, by the way.
Yeah, it really is. From what I played, I definitely like it. Co-op, but you play it a lot. Xbox?
Well, I ventured away from it for a while. But now I got the Series S. I'm gonna download it again and get back into it. The best thing about that game, first off, it is so creative. That game is so creative. The tools that you're using, the things that you're building, in terms of fighting off kind of like the predatory insects, stuff like that. It is so creative how they use certain elements and craft them together to make things. But the main part of Grounded is not only is it good looking, fun to play, but the community aspect. You always have a lot of fun when you're with people playing that game, whether you're having fun yelling at each other or you're having fun really building something unique and really going out exploring and on adventures and stuff. There is a really awesome kind of like community multiplayer element to that game with such a unique backdrop that it's an awesome title.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's absolutely correct. But you know what, guys? With all that said, I think it's time to cap off this episode of TXR. And you know what? What a damn fine show it was, guys. Really fun show tonight. And chat, as always, you're really keeping it lit with all the commentary, guys. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. And if you haven't done so already, it would be greatly appreciated if you were to share this episode out and drop a like. We're going to move straight into the intros, and I'll be starting with our stellar guest this evening, Xbot. It was really, really fun having you on tonight, brother. It's been a blast. Really appreciate your insight and your commentary on everything. Truly unique voice in the gaming community. Where can everybody find your content at?
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you guys for having me on. I love doing guest appearances. I think it's because part of it is because I'm not controlling everything, which, next podcast, Series X podcast, I'm the one that's controlling OBS. So now I was able to really kind of like dive into the chat a lot more. I was able to really hear what you guys thought about the topics and stuff. And I had a lot of fun. You have an awesome crew here. Love all you guys. Love your opinions. And I love what you guys do for the gaming community as well. So with that being said, yes, I am a small YouTuber. I do have a YouTube channel. It is called Xbot448. Go figure. But not only that, you can go check out, my YouTube channel. You like the content. You can definitely subscribe. It is the home of the next podcast. And like TXR, it is one of the longest running podcasts within this community, which I'm very, very proud of. Not only that, it is the home of the Series X podcast as well for people who want Xbox news, Xbox entertainment, and they don't want console war drama, not only on the show, but also in the chat. I have an amazing crew of moderators headed by Crispy Bomb himself, that if anybody starts talking console war drama in the chat, they get muted. Those kind of like chats get deleted, and we try to keep it all Xbox all the time. It is with my co-host, as I say, my partner in crime, Jamie Moran. And again, you can find that on my YouTube channel. But other than that, social media, Xbox Live, all you have to do is type in Xbox448, and I am right there in front of your face. Come hang out, play some games with me sometime. I have been going in crazy on PGA 2K21. And, you know, for people who don't like golf, before you laugh, this game is absolutely phenomenal. There is a community within our community, a bunch of what I would say closet golfers that have come out of the woodworks, and we are having a blast in that game. If you have that game, add me on Twitter. Let me know you have that game. I will put you in the DM, and you will always have somebody to play PGA with. But other than that, again, thank you guys for having me on. And maybe down the road, we could do this again sometime, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think the chat would agree to that for sure. It's been great having you on, Xbot. We'll do this again sometime. Now, moving on to the TXR regulars. Tim Dog, my friend, really good stuff tonight, Mr. Xbox Lizard. Where can everybody follow you at?
You can follow me on Twitter, xCloud, Tim Dog. Our friend Xbox Lizard, we remember you, we love you. But no, great show, Xbot. Great to have you on. You brought a lot of energy, a lot of good stuff there. Always a pleasure. And I'm going to be signing off. I am tired, but thanks for everyone who showed up. Great show, and I'll see you next Sunday.
All right, you heard it from the master there, the master Xbox guy. Moving on down the list, Shockley Buddy, some really nice remarks and exchanges tonight. Where can everybody follow you and your escapades at?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at ShockNero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. But yeah, it's a good show tonight. Thanks for Xbox for stopping by. But yeah, I think we had some good dialogue, but thanks for stopping by tonight. Thanks.
Yeah, Shockley, I think this is our first interaction together.
Maybe on Twitter. I've been or maybe seen your threads before. So speaking live, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm like this all the time. By the way,
Xbox keeps the passion, and Shockley has some great commentary. I definitely recommend him for any of your shows, buddy. Yeah.
Shockley, we better be following each other on Twitter. As soon as I hear that, I'm like, all right, special guest down the road, definitely, it's coming.
Oh, well, I recommend. He's my brother. I got to stick up for him. All right, Centurion, buddy. Of course, I do not want to forget you. Mr. Gentleman, Centurion, where can you be followed at?
Wow, we're using harsh language now. Okay. For starters, great show tonight. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And also, Xbot, not to sound cheesy, but every time I get to do a show with you, I feel like it's a blessing. You are definitely somebody that I just love the energy you put off, the attitude that you have, and just the outlooks that you put off. And every time I definitely get to do a show with you, let's just say I look forward to it. So for those interested, though, and wanting to see me and my content, you can check me and my channel out on YouTube, Twitter, and Xbox Live at Centurion1307. I also do the Shop Podcast every Saturday night, and I do the TXR Podcast right here on every Sunday night.
Good shit, Centurion.
Yo, brother, thank you so much, man. I gotta say, I really do appreciate that, and the feeling is mutual, man. Dude, ever since we met each other, going back and forth, talking gaming news, topics, entertainment, just games in general. It is always a blast to hang out with you, bro.
Oh, dude, I love it, man. I definitely say I would say like also because I've been listening to him forever, and I mean, just to have your attitude in life, man, that's something right there that everybody could use a little dose of and actually kind of take a lesson from.
Damn, I got chills, bro. I got chills. You stop that. You stop that right now.
Them feels hit hard. All right, guys, and to round things out, this is Invader, and you can find my content over at YouTube on Invader Gaming. As well, I'm on other video sharing sites such as Odyssey. Have a great night, everyone. We're already looking forward to next weekend. Take it easy, folks. Have a good one.
Peace.